So tonight, our talks tonight is we're going to start off with our usual format. We have some lightning talks with David and Pete from PolarSeven. Tonight we're actually going to extend that a bit. So unfortunately, Elise from Cloud Health, who is here to see the Cloud Health talk? Just the Cloud Health talk? Excellent. No, only two. Okay, cool. So unfortunately, Elise got called away in a family emergency, so she can't make this evening. So what we're going to do instead is Pete's going to extend his talk about AI and his demo that he's going to run for us this evening. So hope you all enjoy that. Then we're going to have a break for networking and some beers. And then we have Chris and Tim from Combont over here, where we're going to give us an interesting talk on the enterprise systems for hybrid cloud strategy. So that'll be interesting. So thanks for that, Chris. Cool. And then some more networking. So with that, no further ado, I'll pass over to David and Pete.
Thanks, Darryl.
Do you want the clicker?
Yeah. Right, I will be giving introduction to some new features of Amazon Web Services come out this month, or close to this month. And then I'll be doing a short talk on the sexy topic of Cloud Init. So let's start with AWS updates and news. There's some very interesting things out this month. We've got network load balancers, so they've now got 3 different types of load balancers. Easy to spot instances. You can now stop them, whereas before they were terminated. And CloudFormation, there's a stack termination protection you can add on to that. So let's start with CloudFormation. The stack termination protection, once you create your stack, you can add this onto it through the console or through the API. And what this is really just basically a measure twice, cut once. So you can go in and turn this off and then terminate it, but it means you're double checking which stack you're going to terminate. Now, if you're doing blue-green deployments in a live environment, which I do sometimes for customers, and when you finish, you go and delete a stack, you want to make sure you're deleting the right stack. You don't want to delete the production stack on the stack. You all know what that feels like when you press the enter key and you realize you've done the wrong thing. So the stack protection will help you, not prevent, but will help you not to do that sort of thing. Now, you can also put a policy around that termination protection, so that only certain people can do this. Easy to spot. As you might know, easy to spot instances. It's a matter of supply and demand. As demand rises, the supply drops, prices of the spot instances go up, and then the other way around. As the demand drops, the supply goes up and the price goes down. Now, if the price goes down to the spot point, then you get an instance that you can use. And what would happen in the past, as soon as the supply started to drop again, the price went up, you would then lose that instance forever, gone, completely gone. Unless you somehow preserve the state of that instance, any data on that was completely gone. But now what you can do is you have the option, you get on there. Now you have the option of choosing between termination and stop. So when you get to that price point, your instance will stop, and then when it gets back to that price, it will start again. So it's now preserving the state. So that's quite a handy feature for using all the spot instances. And last but not least, there's now a new load balancer, which is a network load balancer. Now, with the other two load balancers, you've got the classic load balancer and an application load balancer. If you get the DNS name of the load balancer, and you go into your console and you type in NS lookup, and then put in that DSN name, you'll get back one or more IP addresses. Now, there's no guarantee that those IP addresses will remain the same. So you might go back in there tomorrow and do the same DNS lookup, and you've got different IP addresses. The network load balancer, one of the features of the network load balancer is that you will get static IP addresses, which you didn't get before. Not only that, you can actually add an elastic IP address to your load balancer. Now, also, the other thing about the network load balancer is that with an application load balancer, you will get what's called zonality. Is that the routing algorithm in the listener, and it's a round robin, and it will share those requests on the targets in the three different availability zones. So that traffic gets shared. Now, with a network load balancer, that the traffic will go to the one load balancer in one AZ. It won't be shared unless, of course, there's a fault in AZ, and then it will work a crossover. The whole idea is to get very, very fast connections. So with a network load balancer, you can get tens of millions requests per second and very low latency. So this is a very new feature. I had a little poke around it today. Now, there are a couple of things that you don't get with a network load balancer. As you well know, that with an application load balancer, it's at level 7, the application level, and you can examine the packet headings and you can route on path and host name, or use wildcards in your listeners to route to different targets. You can't do that with a network load balancer. It's at a lower level. It's at level 4, which is the transport layer, connection layer, or the TCP. So it's working on IP addresses and ports, and that's how the routing algorithm works, on source and destination IP addresses and ports. Costing on this is a little bit, work on LCUs, so I would recommend that you go and read the documentation if you want to know about the costing on these. Daryl has, from PolarSeven, has created on our website a one-page introduction to the network load balancer. You could go onto Amazon. I'd recommend the first page, if you're going to go to Amazon, would be the Jeff Barr blog. He'll go through how you set this up and what they use to test it. They use a thing called machine gun, bees with machine guns, where you can load test your applications. And then after that, you can go on and read the copious quantities of Amazon Web Services documentation on these things. Okay, so that's basically covered the new things that I've picked that I think are interesting for this month. And we'll go on to...
with the network load balancer,
yes.
is the virtual address a private address? And then if you want a public address, you have to attach an elastic IP to it. Is that how it works?
No, they'll give you an address,
Okay.
and it'll be stacked.
But
So it'll remain for the lifetime of that.
will it be a public address? Like
Yes. But say you're doing blue-green, and then you go to a green stack from the blue, then that IP address will be lost. And the next one will have a different IP address, unless you use an elastic IP address, and you can move them. So that way you can have the same IP address all the time. So it has specific uses, which is wonderful. So any other questions on the what's new or the load balancers, or I'll move on to the next topic. Right. Just there's some information I put up, which I've just basically gone over. You'll see there's a different, when you go in, there's a different page now for the load balancers, and it gives you the static IP address, the zonality, source address preservation for long-running connections, which basically answers your question there. And you can do a failover with that. And this gives you there's the differences between the different load balancers that you can use. Now I did read, don't quote me on this, but I did read somewhere where you can actually use these two together. So if you want to get, but don't quote me on that one.
Andy
Read the
here,
documentation.
Andy here can probably answer that. Where is he? Andy?
Whether they can be used together?
Hey, can they be used together? Is anyone using them together?
Not what I know, but that would be so.
Okay, so maybe I misread that wrong. So yeah,
You might well be right. One of the key differences that I think around the NLP is no pre-warm.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't read that in the documentation.
That's really big.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So again, it's kind of implied in the JetBlog log based on the traffic patterns.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But you don't have to pre-warm them.
Cool. It's very, very good.
Okay.
Sorry, can you just repeat that?
Sorry?
Can you just repeat what he said?
He said you don't have to pre-warm the load balancers. Okay, next topic will be bootstrapping and cloud internet. Now, last month I went over AMIs, and Vinci gave a talk on CFN init helper functions, which I felt was quite informative for me because there's a couple that I didn't know about. But I did notice some people having trouble with this idea of baking and frying, and I thought, well, if that's the case, you're going to have a bit of trouble figuring out how you get to those helper functions, how you actually get to call them. So I thought, let's go back to the beginning, and Cloud Init is what will pick all this off for you. The Cloud Init is an industry standard package. It's not specific to Amazon Web Services. I think it originally came up on Ubuntu, but if you go into Amazon Web Services now, on the Linux, Amazon Linux, you'll get this, on Ubuntu, you'll get this. It's customized for AWS. Do a range of things when you launch an instance. The Cloud Init will run and do a range of things for you. Set the host name, private keys. You might want to have the private keys get on there through this through Cloud Init. But the thing that we want to have a look at is this execute user scripts found in user data. Because the idea is you use Cloud Init goes to user data, and user data can run a script for you. And then with that script, you can either put commands in directly, or you can go and call other things that are going to do the bootstrapping of your instance. So let's just go into the console first. So you're creating an instance. You're at number 3. You're configuring the instance. Advanced details. You've got this thing here called user data, and you can just type text in there. Now, if you wanted to, you could type in there "Hello World." Wouldn't do anything. But you could do that, and that would be stored as user data. And you can make a curl request. We won't go into detail on this. Curl request to get user data and metadata. And if you did that, you would get back "Hello World." Now, the thing is that when you run the Cloud Init, it'll have a look at this. And if you put the shebang at the top, it'll say, "I've got a script. Let's run this as a script." And you'll see what this is basically going to do is set up a LAMP stack. So, you like the old school colours? Yeah. So if you're just doing a yum update, you're installing HTTP, going through the different things that you need to install on the LAMP stack, starting process, make sure they go at boot, start with boot, adding users, groups, etc., 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 and adding in PHP info to create a page that when you go on to this, the load balancer on this, it'll come up with the PHP info. So that's what you're doing there, and Cloud Init will run this script for you. Now, of course, we don't want to really be going into the console and creating our instances. We want to be using CloudFormation. And you can do this in CloudFormation as well. So let's just go back to this first. Let's have a look. Now, you could write this into a CloudFormation script, but it's a script in a script. So if you've got quotations and etc., you've got to go and escape them. So when you look at this stuff, it just looks a bit dreadful. It's almost like a spaghetti junction when you see it. There's better ways of doing it. So let's have a look at the CloudFormation script, which part of the script you might use to call the user data. Now I've used the launch configuration, which you should probably use, launch configuration within the auto-scaling group. But you could use this launching instance. You get the same properties, and you get user data in there, and you can just put in your user data in here directly, and Cloud Init will then process that. Now, one of the things you'll notice is there's a 16 KB limit to how much you can put into the user data. So after a while, you're going to run out of space if you want it. If you have a complex bootstrapping, you'll just run out of space. Also, the error checking is not as good as you get with the other means that I'll show you. So what you can do then is, with this script you're going to use, you can call other things. Now you could call Puppet or other provisioning tools, but we're not going to look at that. We're going to look at actually using the Amazon Web Services CFN init. And this is again, because the user data, you can put this into your console, or you can put this into a CloudFormation script. You're just setting a couple of environment variables here, and then you're making this call. Now, if you're attentive, you would have noticed that Benji had these on the board last week, and he went over these different calls. So what we're calling, on the instance that we've just created, it's a Linux AWS instance, this stuff is all in there automatically. So you're making a call to the CFN, and you're giving it some arguments. One argument is the stack name. That's just your template, your CloudFormation template. And this other argument here is saying which resource, and it's called metadata. That's just a name. You could call that whatever you want. It's just a name. But metadata is sort of traditional. And what this will do is it'll go off and it'll find this stack. It'll have a look through this stack for this tag. And the tag, let's go here a little bit. Now the tag will be looking for this thing here. CloudFormation init. So when it finds this, it'll start processing what's below. Now there's some other stuff here, authentication. But basically it'll go through and process whatever you put in here. So if we go back to this, you can see that this is where you're now going to call whatever you've got in your CloudFormation script. I'd like to go into some more detail on what's in the CloudFormation script, but there's so many rabbit holes you can go down to this stuff, and that may be for another talk. Okay, good. Okay, so this is a little bit of an example of what you found.
More of this? Yes? I think if we let him, he'll keep talking. So another couple of minutes, okay?
I'm relying on getting some very intelligent questions first. Yeah, so basically this part here of the CloudFormation init is what's what we call. So basically when you boot up your instance, Cloud init runs, Cloud init reads user data, it sees the shebang at the top, it says this is a script. I'm going to run the script. Inside the script you've got CFN init, and CFN init is referring to this bit as a CloudFormation script. So now this bit under here there's a lot of things you can do in this bit under here which I haven't detailed because there's not really enough time to go into this. But you can go through here, you can copy files onto your instance, you can do yum, you can do all sorts of things, you can create users and groups. So the common thing would be to have a lot of scripts stored in S3, make a call to S3, you copy that down to opt, whatever the name of your company, and then put that in there, and then you run that script on the instance. So you can set up whatever you want with a bash script on the instance. And with this, you can set up different config sets. You've got all sorts of ways you can control which bits of this you can run. So it's not just a matter of one thing. So, and doing it this way, of course, if you had to do this in a bash script with 128 characters, you just couldn't do it. And it would be awfully complex. So this makes the process of setting up an instance or bootstrapping an instance, this is one of the ways to do it. As you could maybe call out to Puppet and do it that way. But this is the way that we generally do it, but not always. So I don't really want to go any further with that. As I said, you can go down a lot of rabbit holes with this and get very complicated. I've tried to make this as simple as possible. Do we have any questions? Yes.
So, user data section was there long before, from very early days of CloudFormation.
Yes.
So, what specific difference between the user data you mentioned, or you shown in the CloudFormation, and the user data you mentioned in Cloud Init?
Well, the user data in Cloud, user data is just data, and it's stored on the instance. I think it's on the instance, I could be wrong. But the Cloud Init just reads it, that's all it does. It just reads that user data, interprets it, passes it. If there's a shebang at the top, it'll say, oh, this is a script. And then from that script, I can run other executables. So I can either run Puppet, or I can call the CFN init, which will run. And the configuration file for the CFN init is just part of the CloudFormation script.
The Cloud Init is the same CFN, isn't it?
Sorry?
Isn't Cloud Init the
No.
same CFN?
No.
What's the difference? I don't understand.
CFN init is Amazon Web Services executables. A whole group of those executables that you'll find in this directory here, ops, AWS, bin. You will find there's probably a couple of hundred executables in there, and there's probably about 20 or 30 CFN dash executables. That's just one of them. That's just that's the main one if you want to kick this type of processing off. The Cloud Init, it's been around for a while. It's open source. I think Canonical were the original makers of this. And Amazon is a customized version. So the difference there being is that the CFN Init is called by Cloud Init through the user data. It's like there's a chain.
But this is only for AMIs that Amazon produces CFN in, like normal ones in the marketplace wouldn't have seen.
Well, I couldn't answer that with 100% certainty. Mostly, yes, it's probably true. You probably might be able to install those and other ones.
It's only a Linux thing.
It's only Linux thing? Okay. Yeah, but maybe on Ubuntu you've got... well, Windows is different processing. I should have said this is basically for Amazon Linux, or you could get the similar thing on Ubuntu, not Windows. Windows is different. It uses EC2 config.
Any more questions? No? Cool. David, thank you very much. So again, did everyone find this useful? We keep this segment up, yeah? Good introductory stuff? Excellent, thank you very much. Thank you, David. Up to now we have Pete. Here's the clicker.
Thanks, David. That was some good information. So, am I audible to people at the back? Yes? How about now? Okay. All right. So, I'll be talking about artificial intelligence services on Amazon. And so, the thing is, why do we need artificial intelligence? All right. So corporations have been using artificial intelligence for a long, long time. So you may not realize, but most of the apps that you use on your phone have some form of artificial intelligence on it. So Facebook, Google, Microsoft, Snapchat have all been using artificial intelligence in some form or the other. So why do corporations require artificial intelligence? Well, it helps with predictive analysis, diagnostics, and recommendations. So if you probably shop on some shopping website, it gives you recommendations. So basically the recommendations come from artificial AI algorithms. Chatbots, voice assistants provide better customer experience. We'll see why this is happening. Companies can benefit massively from image recognition processing and diagnostics, and industry-wide adoption of AI will certainly help customers, and the more companies are using it, customers will benefit massively from it. So I'll be talking about 4 AI services from Amazon. How many? 4. So there are certainly more services that you can use on AWS, but I'll be talking specifically about Lex, Poly, recognition, and Amazon machine learning. So the first one is Lex. So basically, what is Lex? So you might have used Google Assistant, or maybe Siri, or any other voice assistant. So the new one on the block is Amazon Alexa, and Lex is basically the same service that powers Amazon Alexa. And Lex gives any developer the power to integrate conversational interfaces in your apps. So create sophisticated natural language chatbots in your new and existing applications. So who uses Amazon Lex? There are certainly many companies that use it, but Astrobot Voice has an app where you can read your emails, and you don't have to leave the app, and it reads all the emails back to you. So it's certainly a good service. Then there's Buildfax Counts that uses Amazon Lex Chatbot on their Slack. So basically, they have their sales people. All they have to do is, if they have some question, they just post it to Slack, and Lex answers their question back to them. So basically, there's a database of whole questions, and all they have to do is just ask it on Slack, and Lex answers back. The next one is Kelly Blue Book Bot, which provides car valuation. So basically, if you want a valuation for your car, all you have to do is just go to their site or an app and put in whatever details the app asks you. Basically, Lex will ask you that, and then Lex will do the backend processing and then give you the results back to you.
Anyone here using Lex at the moment? Just one?
So what's special about Lex that you call artificial intelligence? Because it doesn't look like there's anything special. It has no learning capability. It has no special diagnostic capability.
So basically, the thing is, if you are a developer and you want to provide voice assistant to customers, you have to build complex algorithms that that's out of any developer's reach. So what you can do is just call Lex APIs, and basically Lex will do all the talking for you. So the thing is, sophistication part is handled by Lex. The easy part is handled by you. The next service is Amazon Polly. So what Polly does is basically talk back to you. So Polly is a service that turns text into lifelike speech, create applications that talk and build entirely new categories of speech-enabled products. It uses deep advanced learning algorithms, and it produces a lifelike voice to speak back to you. So you won't really realize that it's actually a machine talking back to you. So who uses Amazon Polly? InHealth Care. So InHealth Care is a company in the UK, and it's part of the NHS. So if you have to call the NHS or maybe InHealth Care helpline, you'll be greeted by Polly, and the benefit of that is users don't have to wait in line. So if you have a bad experience with customer service, you probably had to wait for a very long time, and then some customer agent talks back to you. So you don't have to do that. Polly does that for you. So the benefit is that your customers, your service scales massively. You don't have to hire so many agents to do the talking. The next app is Duolingo. It's one of the apps that I use on a daily basis. Basically, Duolingo is an app where you can learn any language. So, in any German people out here, Guten Tag. So,
Good pronunciation.
So yeah, the reason why I could say that was because Duolingo was powered by Polly. I didn't actually realize that, but while making this presentation, that's when I realized, oh yeah, Duolingo uses Polly. So, just you can try Duolingo out, and it's a great app. The next service is Amazon Recognition. So what Recognition does is it provides image recognition service to the developers. So what basically what Recognition does is it reads the image, it recognizes faces, it sees if the person is happy, sad, calm, angry, or whatever, and you can detect objects, scenes, celebrities. Identify inappropriate content in images, so you don't have to manually go through the image and do that stuff. So search and compare faces, quickly add sophisticated deep learning based visual search and image classification to your applications. So who uses Amazon Recognition? Okay. Washington County Sheriff. So what they do is they have a whole bunch of images on their database, and if they have to find a suspect, all they have to do is just put the image into Recognition, and Recognition does the comparison between the images, and in a matter of minutes, you get the result. So what used to take days to identify suspects, it's just a matter of minutes that the sheriff does. The next service is C-SPAN. So C-SPAN is a service in the United States where they show all the government videos over here. So members of Congress and Senate are all on C-SPAN. So what happens is, if I am a constituent and I have to look for my representative or my senator, all I have to do is just type in the details on C-SPAN, and C-SPAN will recognize all of the faces in that, and give the results for the videos where my senator or my representative has spoken. So again, it used to take a lot of time to tag all the people in each of the videos. Now it's in a matter of minutes. Recognition does all the work for C-SPAN. The final one that I'll be talking about is Amazon Machine Learning. So basically, machine learning is a service that provides easy machine learning technology for developers for all skill types. Implement models without having to learn complex ML algorithms and technology. Amazon Machine Learning makes it easy to obtain predictions for your applications using simple APIs. And no need to implement custom prediction generation code or write your own bunch of algorithms. Just use machine learning. So who uses machine learning? Huddle. So what Huddle does is, so basically Huddle is used by sports teams. So before going into a game, the coaches and the players, they go into Huddle. They get all the details of the opposing team, and based on that, they can customize their plays and everything, and it provides for a better strategy during the game. The next one is fraud.net. Fraud.net basically lets you identify fraud, and it uses ML to make sense of emerging fraud patterns. So again, all these companies use Amazon services. So I have a demo that I can show you. It was built over the weekend, so there might be a chance that it might fail, but
Demos never fail.
So what I want to do is, I want you guys to pop out your cameras and click a photo of yourself.
And
And
you're going to go to this URL first.
yes, so
AI-demo.
the URL is ai-demo.com.
So get your phone out. Phones out. Go
can
to
anyone,
AI-demo in the browser.
And I also want someone to volunteer with me. Who can do that? Anyone?
So, what do you want to do?
Just come here, take a photo with me, and then I'll.
So who's gone to this URL? Can you see the URL? ai-demo.polar7.com. Put your hand up with your phone when you've gone to that website.
David?
Go on, do it. It's a numbers game.
All right, so there's free pizza and beer after that. So I want to see how happy you are.
This is between you and the pizza.
Yes. So all right, so David is taking a photo with me, and I want you guys to take your own photos, and we'll see how easy it is to implement machine learning in your own apps. So basically, this demo uses recognition and poly. So recognition, what it'll do is it'll identify the image, and poly will read out the results. So let's see how it's done. David, are you ready? Or are you able to open this link? All right. All right, we can already see that there are already 9, 10, 11 happy people.
Shall we figure out who is angry?
All right. No, I've not built the code for that yet.
Okay, I'm taking my big gym.
All right. The URL is ai-demo.polar7.com.
ai-demo.polar7.com.
It's over here. David, are you ready? All right. I have
Come on,
it phone.
make some faces. So get me some angries. We want more angries up there. There's only one angry. Hey?
So what's the idea? So I've uploaded my photo now, so I have to put it out.
All right, I want to see David how happy you are.
It's not very good at estimating my age.
No, it's terrible.
How old did you upload your photo?
All right,
I got between 60 and 90.
it takes some time to upload the photo. If you're on 4G, it'll take about 15 to 20 seconds. All right, so I have the results that AI-demo.polar7.com.
AI-demo.polar7.com.
All right, so I have taken a photo with David, and let's see what recognition has come up with. So I'll let Polly speak the results.
Between 35 and 53 years old. The second face is a happy male between 26 and 43 years old. Face, portrait, smile, and dimple.
All right. So, as you heard Polly speak out the results, so basically it told that David is a happy male between 35 to 53 years old. Is that right?
I love Polly.
And the second person, which is me, is between 26 and 43 years old. Just all right, yeah.
I'm going to take one further. What does it say face 1, 2, and 3 for?
Maybe it's the people behind. Yeah, it's the people behind. Behind the scene. So the idea behind this thanks, David. Thank you so much. The idea behind this, oh, you can see there are already 61 people happy. We'll certainly have more pizzas. So
we got 3 angries.
3 angry
They're
people.
probably angry because they got to wait for their pizza.
All right. So the idea behind this demonstration was that it's super easy to integrate Amazon services, AI services on your apps, whether it is new or existing. It can be done over a weekend or it can be done over a day. So, yep, that's about it.
Questions?
Any questions?
Yes, with recognition, does it only recognize face? It's going to, for example, if I give you a whole bunch of shoes in my database, can I say, can you identify what model shoe that I've got?
So basically, the gentleman says if recognition will recognize the type of shoes, it will say that it is a shoe, but I don't think it will recognize what type of shoe it is. The capability has not come up yet. It's still in its early stages, but as time goes by, we'll see more and more types of recognition on the app. Anyone else?
Sorry. So at the summit last year, they used a use case which was a company that wanted to target people who like Coke. So recognition would recognize a brand or a logo, and basically they would scan through a bunch of different Instagram profiles, and they found that this age group and more females like Coke. Do you know what I mean? So they kind of use this as part of the marketing exercise. So that was their level to recognize this range of Coke. Yeah, that's another use case.
Yeah. So basically, which company was that?
I don't know the name of the company, but they just use Coca-Cola as
So
a
basically-
digital marketing company.
Yeah, so maybe some digital marketing company made an application which recognized what age groups drink Coke, and that's one of the use case. Thanks for that. What's your name? What? Curtis. Thanks,
Thank you,
Curtis.
Curtis.
Anyone else?
Any more questions?
Is it possible to translate the language?
So Poly doesn't do that.
There is something that not sure
I don't think there is.
Can you link it into, say, Google Translate.google.com sort of thing?
So Google is a different service.
Oh, no, but
For translate, you mean?
So you can probably
Translate.
do the translation on Google and have Poly speak the results back to you. But Amazon doesn't have the translation service as of now. But maybe in the future, maybe in reInvent 2017.
Cool. Any more? Let me take one more question.
Any more questions?
No, that's it.
So Darryl, just
Yes,
for
sorry.
If anyone has a library of images that they want to train recognition with, so say you're biosecurity, you have a library of images of bees. Sorry.
Hang on.
Wait. Everybody here?
So sorry, I'm
Andy from Amazon.
Andy from Amazon. So if anyone's got a library of images and you want to train recognition with that library, so say you're working biosecurity, you've got a library of images of bees, you want to detect invasive species versus native species, you wanted to hypothetically put an app up that the general public could take a picture of a bee. If they don't recognise it, they're concerned, and it could tell them whether it's invasive or not. Come and talk to us. Like, seriously, come and talk to us.
Talk to
Learning.
We also have a technical BD from the AI platform in Sydney next week. So travelling in from the US. So if anyone's got actual serious workloads they want to talk to us about AI, come and talk to me. I'll hook you up.
All right. We know who to talk to.
What about Lewid pictures? Is there a Lewid service or a Blocksmith? No. Excellent.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll hand it back to Darryl.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Chris. That was very good.